Alright, so quick video. A couple days ago I was tearing into this and I'm trying to figure out what caused this to happen, and I think I may have figured it out. So as you know, if you've been following along, this timing gear wound up missing some teeth. Missing 3 actually. Yeah, I think it was just 3. Well, I found one on the drain plug like a while ago when I changed the oil, but I didn't really think much of it. Well, I pulled number 1 piston out because I wanted to check the ring gaps. And if you're wondering what the ring gaps of this motor were, the top ring was at 21 thousandths and the bottom ring was at 26 thousandths, which, if you know anything about these, that's kind of big from factory. Usually I hear of people saying all the way down to 12 thousandths, which is super tight. But the bearings are all good in this thing. Like, even the journals are all good. I took that rod, well, what is left of the rod, and as you can see, it still spins nice. The bearing in there is like new. I took this main out, that's like new. So I'm willing to bet like all these freaking bearings are probably all still technically good. But when I took number 1 piston out, and you see it's all cracked, but it looks like something hit it there. So I'm looking around, and here's the other side of that bearing. Those marks are from like a dial bore gauge when I was checking clearances, because I was curious on what the clearances were on this. But if you look, you zoom in, oop, wrong way. You see there's all kinds of marks on there, like all over the place. And if you look at the counterweights, it looks like something was bouncing around in there. If you look at this one actually broke off a part of the piston. So, you know, a lot of these have like all kinds of like different marks and stuff in them. So I'm wondering if maybe one of those teeth got stuck on top of the counterweight as it was going up through and getting stuck between the piston and the end of the piston. Let me show you, because this gets pretty close. Let me turn my light on here. That might be better. Let's see if I can turn this over. As you can see, that all gets very close there. So if you got like a tooth of that that timing gear stuck in there, it's gonna just, well, that tooth is steel, or the piston's basically aluminum. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna just break pieces of the piston off. Let me see if I can pull up that other piston from the hurt side, well, destroyed side. And that's all obviously destroyed. So I'm curious if that got stuck in there. The reluctor looks good. I don't see nothing broken on that. But that would have been the cam gear that was missing teeth, and that's not missing anything. So I'm wondering if that tooth got stuck in there somehow and got on top of the counterweight as it was coming up to meet the piston, or coming close to the piston. Because again, you see there's really no room there. Now, this is just a theory, but that's kind of what it looks like. Either that, or what a buddy of mine was saying, that the motor is actually trying to rip the wrist pins out of the pistons, because when this thing blew up, it was at 4,300 RPMs at 19 pounds of boost. So he says that was too much power down low, and he says that can rip the wrist pins out. I also learned that two-step can actually do that on weak pistons, which these are weak pistons because they're just stock aluminum pistons. But I read somewhere that two-step can actually do that, and I actually think that might be what broke the teeth off of this. There's the other one right there. So I'm down to two different scenarios. A tooth of that, which could have came from the two-step regardless, got stuck on top of one of the pistons, or got stuck on top of this one, just grenaded everything. Or the two-step was just ripping the wrist pins out, or it just made too much power at too low of an RPM and it just tore itself apart. But yeah, with the rain gap that this thing had, it probably would have lived for almost ever if it didn't do whatever it did there. So that's a little update here. I did get from the new motor. I did get main studs, a set of bolts. So I'm using ARP main studs. And next week I'm hoping to take the motor, the block, to the machine shop to have them look over it and do all their stuff that they need to do. And hopefully get it back. And if I can get it back before it's too cold and get my crank rods and pistons and some other things, I'm going to start putting what I can together. And I will try and record everything I can with that, because that, quite honestly, that to be a fun project. To be a really fun project. I've only ever really built one other motor before, and it lifted the head. It was a 4-cylinder Cobalt motor. It lifted the head on 30 pounds of boost and flooded number 3 cylinder, which turned the Eagle connecting rod into a giant S. It bent the rod so bad that it actually was letting the piston hit the crank. So that destroyed that motor, cracked the block, and all kinds of stuff. But I do not think that was from something that I did. I think it was just too much boost. Probably should have lowered the compression a little bit more. This new motor, I'm going to be talking to a couple different people about what compression ratio they think I should go with and why. Then I want to talk to Texas Speed after I get the block back, about a whole balanced rotating assembly. That way I can just check my clearances, put everything together, and then have the short block done in hopefully like a day or two. Then after that, I gotta save up for heads and the cam and all the other stuff, because there is a lot that I need to get. Because basically the only thing in this new motor that's gonna be stock is that iron block. Aftermarket crank, rods, pistons, cam, you name it, it's basically be aftermarket. So yeah, that is the update here. Hopefully I can get the stuff in time before winter fully sets in. That way I can get a good start on that. So yeah, if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you get notifications and stuff, because YouTube is weird and doesn't do notifications unless you hit a bell for some reason. So yeah, thanks guys.